Hello, everyone, and welcome to another special report from Channel 71 News. Today, we're joined by a couple of folks that interact with the breakfast program of Chaplains on the Way. It's a really cool program that's been happening for a few years now at First Parish Unitarian Universalist, where Chaplains on the Way opens the doors of that and allows folks to come in for a warm place to escape the cold, as well as a hearty meal. But I'll let them talk about it. Joining us today is Jill Gaulding.
Hi. Thanks for having us on, Chris.
Absolutely, and Elisse Gilman. Did I pronounce that right?
Gittleman. Yep.
Gilman. Well,
Thanks for having us and for talking about the program.
definitely. No, it's definitely an exciting thing. A lot of the things that we talk about on this show are often things that some people know about in the community, but I feel like if we just elevated them, I think they would be more successful, more popular, because there are people that like want to be into these kinds of things, and often they just don't know how to access the information of knowing that it exists. And so I'm very excited to be talking about this, especially something that I've personally been involved in for a while as well. So we have some questions and we're going to get into them. So very first, very easy one. What is Chaplains on the Way?
Yeah, great question. It kind of starts with the chaplaincy part. What is chaplaincy? So chaplaincy is spiritual support, but it's very, very open-ended. It's like as open-ended as you can possibly imagine. So sometimes we use the word interfaith, and then I think that's not even a big enough word because it's basically just open to all humans, and it's interested in supporting their well-being and specifically their spiritual well-being, but just their complete integrated well-being. And Chaplains on the Way offers that kind of support to folks who are experiencing homelessness in Waltham. And that's the core of our mission. But that turns into much more than that. And we'll probably end up talking about some of what I mean by saying it's a lot more than that.
It really is a lot more than that. And yeah, when I first became aware of Chaplains on the Way, probably like 2017, 2018, um, it was, I think, through the breakfast program. You guys were running it out of the day center
Mhm.
in 2018. So, um, what I thought was very much a service slash faith provider, it turned out to be much, much more than that. Your day to day is interesting, to say the least. And so, what are we doing here today? What is the breakfast program? How would you describe that?
So the breakfast program, like you said, it used to be at the day center, and we're definitely friends with the day center and do all sorts of things in cooperation with them. But starting in COVID, there was a real crisis for folks who were stuck outside during the day. And that might be folks who are staying in the shelter, it might be folks who are sleeping rough. During COVID, the idea was, hey, everyone should be safe by staying in their homes. We had all these shutdowns going on. And that meant that places like the library or McDonald's or other kind of public spaces that people could go in. Any of us, if we were cold, we had to go to the bathroom, you might go into one of those spaces. They were all shut down in COVID. And that was horrible in terms of the day-to-day life experience of someone who was unhoused. And so the original idea was we have to do something about this. We have to create a warm space. We have to create access to bathrooms. And that grew into the winter breakfast program that we rent space at First Parish. And it's 5 days a week and runs from about 7:30 to 10:30 every morning. And it is a really special space to be in. It One of the things that's important about the way Chaplains on the Way and the Chaplains on the Way community operates is we don't have a kind of rigid separation between any kind of rigid separation. So we don't have housed versus unhoused or volunteer versus person receiving services. There's always an opportunity for everybody to sort of jump in and be helpful. Just this morning was an example of that because we actually have a breakfast program in the summer too, all year round. It's just that we only do it on Wednesdays and we do it outside. But I was in the kitchen this morning at First Parish and there were about 6 or 7 other people there, and some of them were housed and some of them were unhoused, and it was just like this well-oiled team because we're used to coming together, although in different, sometimes different people every Wednesday. But the core folks know how to toast the English muffins and fry the eggs, and we put together 42 breakfast sandwiches every Wednesday. And it's just it feels really good to be together like that, doing something that we all care about. And later on, we eat those sandwiches on the common, and we take some sandwiches maybe to some people who might be down by the river on the river walk, and really feel good about somebody caring enough about them, to bring them a hot sandwich. But during the winter, we bring that inside, and we have that same kind of atmosphere inside of First Parish 5 days a week.
Yeah, and you're speaking to how important it was during COVID, and yeah, I mean, we could do a whole documentary about the the struggles and the rewards of the unhoused community during COVID in Waltham. But even out of COVID, even nowadays, now that we're back to normal, so to say, um, most places are not open at 7:30 in the morning, and so
Right.
this is a lifeline for people to be able to escape the cold, and much less even the places that are open. This is somewhere you can be for free that costs no money, and so
Mhm.
those places are very, very few and far between. So very, very important.
Yeah, they have,
Um,
even at McDonald's, it's got a kind of a commercial. I
sure,
mean,
yeah.
it's great that they're welcoming, and they are, but it's still a sort of commercial space. You feel like you should buy something. The library is not open at that hour. And I think when you come into the Chaplains on the Way breakfast program space, it feels like you're coming home in a way. It feels like you're coming to be part of a family. And maybe you go in the kitchen and make your own bagel, or maybe you start serving bagels to other people. And I kind of want to bring Elisse in here because she is one of the people who really knows how that kitchen works.
Yeah, yeah, at least.
Yeah.
So this became First Parish, started operating in First Parish in 2020. Is that when you became aware of this? If you'd like to
Yeah.
jump in.
And so I had retired from work, and they're like, what can you do? And I said, well, I have stuff I do. So I guess I couldn't have had anything I did the other days, but I said, like, I can do Monday, Friday. So I've done Monday, Friday since December 2020 at this point. And one thing that's, the contrast between like a commercial space and the breakfast program is, after a while you get to know there's some people who come in and they just want to sit, and they don't even want to get a cup of coffee right away. They just want to sit, and they might get a cup of coffee after half an hour, and maybe 45 minutes later they might say, hey, you know what? You said you had this food. Could I have some of it? And there's very few spaces, even if you were going to come and buy stuff, that you could wait an hour and a half before you said, now I'm ready. Now I'm like got my head in a place, or I'm settled in, or even I could go to a bathroom and really wash up and be warm if for people who are living rough, um, that you can provide that place and um, make it so that it's just a safe place for people to be. I mean, every time I'm there, I'm thinking, this is so important because, I have this luxury. I have this house I get to live in, and I can be warm, and I can wash up when I want, and I can sleep when I want. And to make a space where other people can choose. So there's some space up on the stage that people who need a little more rest can get a little more rest. Just, what do you need? We're here. How can we help you? Um, are you low on socks? Do you want to come help cook? Do you want to come help me, get some of the dishes washed? What would you like to do? I mean, to create that space where people are welcomed however they need to be at that moment.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it definitely, and it's interesting seeing the evolution of how people are comfortable there as well. Comfortable asking for things, comfortable offering things, comfortable talking to other folks. It's really nice seeing like friendships being born, the camaraderie of people, just early in the morning, just living their lives. It's really nice seeing that start from start to end, and seeing the relationships that it fosters.
Yeah, like
Um,
one of the things that comes, I mean, every single possible feeling and situation might arise because all of us are humans together and we're going through different things. But there's a lot of joy in this space. There's just a lot of pleasure in getting to know one another. And you see that even like through the food. Like if people are there regularly, like everybody knows, who wants tea and who wants coffee and who wants it with milk and how many sugars and who wants their bagel extra toasted. And It's to say, it's if you go into a commercial place and they say, "Oh, do you want the regular?" That always makes you feel good because you feel seen and heard. And we have that same thing, except it's not a commercial space.
No, definitely. As a waiter by trade, I definitely understand that, and I definitely could bring that to the breakfast program. I actually the first year when during COVID, I actually brought my server apron with me, and it
I
was
remember
fun.
that.
It was fun. It was fun LARPing as a waiter at the breakfast program, essentially. So I mean, I enjoy talking about this stuff. I love talking about the history of all these things. I like making people more aware of these. But also, I'm hoping that this video kind of brings you what you need at Chaplains on the Way to make this more successful. So, what do you need this year specifically, and I guess more in general as well, if you just want
Mhm.
to speak to it? What makes this uh, program run? What do you need this year to make it successful?
I mean, to kind of boil it down and be really simple, like one thing is people, and another thing is food, and another thing is if neither of those work, but you want to support us, certainly financial support does help. And I can explain, what we use the financial support for. But in terms of people, like it's very open-ended so that, anyone could just show up at any time. It doesn't have to be super planned that way. But as someone who's kind of trying to hold it all together, given my role, it's good to know every day that there's somebody who is willing to take on extra responsibility. So be there when it opens, make sure the door is open, knows how to turn on the oven, that kind of thing. So we need both casual volunteers, just kind of show up and check it out and be part of things, but also committed volunteers. And to do that, people could get in touch with me, and I could get them connected so that they could figure out how to be a committed volunteer, or even just to check it out, try it once and then decide if they want to be a committed volunteer. And that might be, you might only come, like, there's a big rush right in the beginning. So sometimes people come before their own jobs start. So maybe they're there between 7:30 and 8, or 7:30 and 8:30, and they're helping when it's super busy. Or maybe they want to be at the quieter times later and even take part in some of the programming that we offer once things settle down and get quieter later in the morning. Or they like to clean up. Some people love to use that dishwasher. The
Hmm.
big commercial dishwasher is fun. So there's lots of different things for volunteers to do. And then we need food, and we serve every kind of food. It doesn't have to be officially breakfast food. Salads are super popular. Like anything that you think is yummy and healthy, or just delightful to eat, you can provide it. Raw ingredients too, because we are able to cook, and that's really welcome. People love to make scrambled eggs, for example. Um, and again, people could get in touch with me, and I could try to get them set up into a system that lets us know that we're going to have enough, eggs and bagels and so forth every day. And then the last thing is, if people want to offer financial support, we do go out and fill in to make sure we have enough cream for the coffee and eggs and so on. So if people donate money, then we use it to buy food, or we use it to rent the space, use it to make sure we have what we need to make the program work.
Um,
And
good.
sure. Another thing, Chris, is that last year there was a group I guess, at a church out in Wellesley that would get together and make these really nice meals and freeze them and bring them.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't know about people who are unhoused is there are a whole bunch of those people who'd say, "Do you have any of those so I could take it to my job because I get an hour lunch break, but I'm
Mm.
working at the mall. I can't afford to buy a lunch there." And
Yeah.
they're so grateful to have a lunch to eat on their, 8 or 10 hour shift. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I think people have this vision or picture of people who are unhoused as they're not working. And in fact, a lot of the people work,
Mhm.
and we're really appreciative of, something like that. So if you wanted to, bring foods that people could bring, like you would bring for your lunch, you could offer that to these folks. It was really pretty powerful to be able to help people do that.
Mhm. Yeah, as well as the village table. Those meals were really special.
So Jill, you actually just uh, I think answered the next question. Can you describe some of the volunteer roles? But
Mhm.
maybe Elise can jump in. Like, you've done Mondays and Fridays. What is a normal shift for someone that sticks around all day work?
Well, opening up and getting everything out and getting stuff ready, and getting the coffee from where we have it set so it's perks overnight, putting that out, putting out all the, dishes and stuff, and then either cooking if we're going to cook like breakfast sandwiches or putting stuff in the oven to heat up. And then as people come in, just, what do they need? Getting food for them, seeing, what needs cleaning up, and then, they bust their own dishes to the bus tray, and then we bring them in the kitchen and wash dishes. So it's, a wide range of things. I mean, if you like, I'm not a hang out with people person, but I don't mind washing dishes. Well, you could come wash dishes. Or if I really like to talk to people, what's nice is if the volunteers can do the food service, then the chaplains who are there can really do that chaplaincy with people. And, again, a lot of people come in and what they would like is somebody who could sit and listen to them, for 15, 20 minutes, not, like the cashier at the McDonald's, hey, how's it going? Fine, good.
Mm.
Um, and so the volunteers make it possible for the chaplains, because there's usually one or two chaplains and then maybe one or two interns there can spend time. But also you could, if it's slow, you could sit down and just chat with some of the people and get to know folks, what's happening. How's that job you started? How's your daughter in Florida? Whatever you might ask someone.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this is all a volunteer run thing. It's all just a thing that a nonprofit puts on, but the act that you're doing, the services that you're offering, is essentially like a restaurant, and so it's all the roles of a restaurant need to be filled. But there's not like it's not there's not an expectation for you to like be on all the time, and so it's very much like whatever you want to do when you're there is what you're going to do. Do you want to help pass out food? You can help pass out food. Do you want to help cook the food? You're going to help cook the food. Do you just want to come and chat with people? Which again, yeah, like Elise said, is a big part of it. It's just like just talking with folks, just getting to know them, talking about their day. It's not, it doesn't feel like a job. It's just there are people there and you're going to talk to them
Yeah,
because that's what people
it's a
do.
community service to create community,
Yeah.
right? Like to honor the community that's already there, because that's a misconception also people sometimes have about what it might like to be unhoused for folks who haven't had that experience. Maybe this is American culture or something, but we picture it as so lonely, just like one person. And of course, there are ways in which it can be lonely, but there's also a community. Folks know each other, support each other, just like any other community. And so if you're coming to be a volunteer, especially if you come pretty often, what you're doing is you're opening up the chance that you also might be part of that community. You will know folks and folks will know you. They'll ask you about your dog and your kid in Florida, and that feels good. And it reminds me to mention, like, over the summer, we do stuff more outdoors, or there's a special space we use at Common Good Co, for example, that offers a space. But in the winter, we do everything in the one space that the First Parish offers us. And that means that we have the interfaith service there, which is as open-ended as a spiritual service you can imagine. Every different possible kind of, reading or music gets discussed. That can feel really supportive to folks. And coming and being a part of that is also, in a sense, volunteering. It's just being part of the community and contributing to it, or allowing people to get to know you through that, being vulnerable if you have something to share. We have a grief group also that ran all last year that a lot of people really appreciated. And again, it was housed and unhoused people who made that the beautiful space that it was. I can't not mention the leadership group that meets every Tuesday. The leadership group is separate from Chaplains on the Way, but we support it. And that's kind of like an action arm. It's an grassroots action group. That's the group that put on the housing summit last year. And they just do all sorts of things. They get stuff done. That's kind of their slogan. We get things done. And coming and being part of the leadership group meetings on Tuesdays. You could think of it as volunteering, or you can just think of it as, this is how I like to be part of the community in Waltham. This is how I want to help make Waltham be the kind of place I want Waltham to be.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's called the breakfast program. It's called the warming center, but really it's just a resource center. It's a community center. There's a lot that goes on during those 3 hours every single day, which is an amazing thing that happens. So what, so if a person wanted to maybe donate food, like if they couldn't maybe come from 7:30 to 10:30, but they want to donate food, what are you looking for?
So a
Yeah.
favorite thing is bagels and English muffins. So some of it is, unprepared food like that we prepare. And I'm going to put this in here so people hear it. Cream cheese in tubs because it's easier for the servers to spread, uh,
Good
even though
best
it costs a
practice.
little more. Or casseroles, that we can have and serve. People really like that. Eggs, stuff like that. Um,
Eggs are expensive, so if you have the wherewithal to donate eggs, that's really great because
Mhm.
people like to have hard-boiled eggs, scrambled eggs, fried eggs, and eggs are, there's a form of protein, so people
yeah.
appreciate that.
And actually, just speaking of that, their protein, one thing that people do appreciate is food that isn't a lot of carbs because that's a lot of what they get offered. And people will often look at something, they'll say to me, I can't eat that many carbs in the morning. I mean, to think about, like, people would like a variety of different healthy foods, and just to imagine you're not bringing it to people you don't know, but what if you were bringing a meal to a friend who just wasn't feeling well that day? Because
Yeah.
that's who these people are. These are friends who are having a tough day,
Or
not
even a great day, but
strangers.
they're unhoused and
Yeah,
might
well,
need
they're having a tough day because they don't have a place to make their own
the
breakfast.
unhoused
And
part is, yeah,
That's a
and
agreed.
so
beautiful
it
way to
would be
put it.
nice.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that idea of what would you bring to a friend. I mean, maybe your friend would want soup, maybe your friend would like a fresh kale salad or something. I think that
And yeah,
salads are surprisingly well received by folks at 8 a.m.
yeah. Um, and and yeah, you talked about casseroles. Yeah, from my time in the kitchen, especially when there is a lot of people coming in all at once, having something prepared is really useful. Just something like a casserole, something like a hash, uh,
Mhm.
just something that is already pre-made that we can stick in the oven an hour beforehand and have it ready for folks instead of having to make eggs or oatmeal on the fly. Um, and and so yeah, so that would all be very useful to folks. Um, so what do people tell you are the benefits of the program? We just listed them all, but what do people tell you? What do they say? Like, why is this useful to people?
For a lot of people, my sense is that the same way that I like to get up in the morning and go in my kitchen and have breakfast, it's just that my day starts where I feel like I am in a comfortable place and I get something to eat that I like. And that's a nice way to start my day. And my house, I'm the only one up then. But when I go there, then I have some other people who are maybe friends or maybe new people who I could have a meal with. That it's a way to create this, you know, sense of pleasure and joy in life at the beginning of somebody else's day. And that's for people, it does that. And to, you know, like if you have a job you go to and there's the other people there, it feels like that. Like people have a community, they have friends, they have food, that pleasant start to the day that I think is so important.
Yeah, like this is a place I can count on. It's always open, and I know I'll be safe there and warm, have access to stuff I need, and I'll have a sense of belonging, and I can relax, I can be at peace, I can have fun, I can be alone, whatever I need. That's a space I can find a way to meet those needs.
And if I need someone to talk to.
Yeah, the chaplains are there, and we do things as a group, and we do things one-on-one. And we're looking for well-being on an individual and community level in the face of all this terrible world, right? There's so many things going on that are sad and hard and not right, but it's a little oasis of peace and rest.
Wonderful, and it really is. Okay, so last question. So, if you had all of those volunteers that you need, if you had all of the money that you need to run this program as efficiently and doing all the things that you want to do, what could you accomplish if people donated money today? If they came and signed up to volunteer, if enough people did, what could that accomplish for you, for Chaplains on the Way and for these people?
It would definitely allow us to do what we do in an even more peaceful way. Because when we're short on things, it creates stress, and
Mhm.
that kind of percolates out. If any of the volunteers are stressed, if we run out of eggs or something like that. So the better organized we are, and the more steady the flow is of the things that we need, we have the right amount of cream cheese or so on. It really does make a difference, because this having the start of your day feel peaceful like that is impactful. And yeah, we could have more people, more programs, more chaplains, um, more of everything, and it could be that much more uh, pleasant and calm and peaceful to be there, because there everything would feel like a sense of abundance and not scarcity.
Mhm. Yeah, Elise mentioned it earlier, but yeah, if you're short-staffed on volunteers, then I see you, Jill, in the kitchen doing things. But if we're fully staffed for the day, then you're out there talking with folks, doing your chaplaincy, providing those resources that really only you can provide. You and a few other choice people in the community can provide. Um, and so, yeah, definitely uh, having enough people to make all of the roles filled definitely uh, allows all of those roles to be filled essentially. So
Yeah,
so it's very
and everyone
important.
could do what like they feel they're best at, or what
Yeah,
they most enjoy, or what the real reason they're there.
yeah,
Even though all of us can fry eggs if we need to. I set off the fire alarm last week. That wasn't good. We need someone besides me to fry eggs.
yeah. Um, and yeah, I guess for from my perspective, just if you had enough volunteers, I feel like we could be like doing problem solving more with more people. I try and do that with Food Not Bombs. We try and create a community of people that want to be solving problems in Waltham. And so like it's something that you're providing a service at 7:30 in the morning. It definitely feels like you're giving back to the community. But let's work on stuff together there. Let's what do you want to talk about? What issues do you care about? I want to talk about those things at 7:30 in the morning. There's a lot of downtime when you're not serving eggs. Like, what do you want to chat about? Let's
Mhm.
talk about some stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the leadership group is a couple things going on, and
Yeah.
that's just one example. It's not always through the leadership group. Things like grief group or meditation or the service are also spaces where positive change, starts to happen. Um, but the leadership group is planning Housing Summit 2 for
Hmm.
2024, looking at solutions for the housing crisis and the housing affordability and homelessness. And the leadership group is actually also starting to work on I'm not quite sure of the right words for this, but replicating itself, creating a network, because
Hmm.
it's really a one of a kind organization that is amazing. And it really um, changes the atmosphere of the dynamic between folks who are privileged with housing and folks who aren't. Thinking of it more like a coalition, and seeing the point is seeing the folks who have direct lived experience with homelessness as leaders, as people with knowledge, as people who should be leading us towards solutions, not just people who are receiving help. And the idea is it would be great if there was more of that. Like, what if there was a Cambridge leadership group? What if there was one in Watertown, and so on? So that's actually something the leadership group is working on. So if we had more time and space and volunteers, that could happen faster.
I think also just again that the level of sort of settledness that people could have because they just felt like things are going to get taken care of.
Yeah.
That if the people who are, volunteering and in the space can bring that calm, it
Hmm.
helps other people who, have whatever reasons they might come in unsettled,
Hmm.
get settled, even if it meant just like there were enough people in the kitchen that someone could sit with someone who came in
Hmm.
for a few minutes and just, listen or just be with them.
Yeah, that's so true. I agree with what Elise just said.
And
Absolutely.
and I think the other piece that's so important, I mean, for me, from my religious background, is that creating a world where we're just showing people all the time what's really important is caring for each other.
Mhm.
And I'm here to help you, and you're here to help me. And that if we're doing that over and over, it changes the world we're living in.
There's uh, a line of poetry that Chaplains on the Way uses during services where people have passed away by Rumi. The line is come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come yet again. Come, come. And it's a beautiful line that I always enjoy hearing. And maybe sometimes people aren't having a good day in the morning, and sometimes all of the resources aren't there, and we're short staffed. But we just want folks to continue coming, and people have bad days, but generally people will show you that they're full of love and they're full of joy and they want to share that as well, and maybe a cup of coffee is what it takes to get them to there, and I'm happy that the breakfast program provides that. So thank you, Jill. Thank you, Elise, for coming on. So if you want to get involved, I'll put Jill's contact info in this, and if you want to help out one time a week, if you want to help out 1 hour a week, or you just want to donate food, please reach out. And so thank you, Jill. Thank you, Elise.
I look forward to meeting folks and hearing from them.
Yeah, come on down. It's fun.
If you want to work with Elise, that's Mondays and Fridays.
Mondays and Fridays.
Second
Thank you. Thank you very much.